Good morning. Name's Ken Lemoyne. I'm the executive director for this show that we're holding on today. It was called the Bay State Motor Festival. This is an example of one of the cars that was made in Massachusetts. The drivetrain was made here in New England, and the body was made by Farnham and Nelson. It was made in Brookline, Massachusetts. So many of these vehicles, like this Maxim fire truck, also made in Massachusetts. The cars that are behind us, some of them on the side field were made here in Framingham. And of the 7 million cars that were made here in Massachusetts, 4.7 million of them were made here in Framingham. This particular car, I believe, is 20 feet long and nearly 7 feet high. It is typical of what the landed gentry would be driving that lived in the Brookline area in that time frame. So the genesis of the Bay State Motor Festival is about 2.5 years ago. I was constantly asked about the restoration of the car that I have called the Bay State. It's sitting out in the front of the display area here at the festival. Last year, we did a lecture on the automotive history of Framingham, and this year we took it this natural step forward and added to that lecture the physical vehicles that are here built in Framingham. As I started to do the research a year ago, people kept telling me that you really should include those other cars that were made in Massachusetts. So what we see here today, the Farnham and Nelson bodied locomobile that was built in Brookline, the Knox cars that we just saw that are built in Springfield, the Indian motorcycles also built in the Springfield area, the Bay State obviously built in Framingham, trying to think of the other cars that are here. There's so many of them. So,
how long did it take you?
The Stanley steamers that were made here in Watertown, Newton, Waltham, the Metz cars, the Orients that were here, all of these different vehicles were all made here in Massachusetts. So we were the epicenter of automobile production, from 1893 up through the early 20s. We were the center of automotive manufacturing, and Massachusetts was where the genesis of the automobile in America was created in 1893. So that's a part of the story that we're telling today with these vehicles.
I'm Howard Randall. I'm from Plimpton, Mass, which is down near Plymouth, about an hour's drive away. And I'm here today really with two vehicles that have Massachusetts history. The motorcycle to my right is a steam-powered motorcycle. It was made by Sylvester Roper, who I think born in New Hampshire, but spent much of his time in Roxbury, Massachusetts. This is a bike that dates to 1896, and as the sign says, Roper died while riding it around a bicycle track in Cambridge. He didn't crash, he actually had a heart attack and dropped over dead. My father owned his first motorcycle, which was made in 1868. And that's now in the Smithsonian collection. And Roper made his first automobile in around 1863 during the Civil War. And the Henry Ford Museum has one of his steam automobiles. I think he only made 2 of the motorcycles. I'm also here with a 1905 March. It's one of several cars that were made in Brockton, Massachusetts. And Marsh also made motorcycles. Often people are confused whether Indian or Harley or who made the first motorcycles, but Marsh actually began making commercial quantities of motorcycles in Brockton in 1899. They later partnered with Charles Metz out of Waltham, who was also making motorcycles, and they got together and made what became the Marsh Metz motorcycle, which stayed in production up until about World War I. And Metz was famous, obviously, for the Metz car, one of several cars made in the city of Waltham. I think Charles Metz would sell you a car, I think, in 6 or 7 installments. He would send it to you in pieces, and you could put it together. And of course, lots of people worked in factories or farms and were used to fixing stuff, and so it was called the Metz plan car. And he also made an airplane powered by one of his motors. And there's, I don't have a direct connection to Framingham, although I did a lot of work with Avery years ago, and bought a lot of products from them when they were located, I think, here in Framingham at one time.
Do you go to a lot of shows?
Yes. My father had probably 200 antique cars over his lifetime. He had 36 Stanley Steamers throughout his collection, and I have 2 now remaining. And he also had an interest in bicycles. We had there were the Orient bikes were made in Waltham, and we used to, as kids, we had Orient built a bicycle that 10 people could ride, and then they built one that 7 people could ride, and they had a 3-seater and of course tandems, and we owned a 7-seated Orient, and we're 6 kids, so my father and the 6 kids would ride in what was the Grover Cronin. They were a retail store right in the center of Waltham, and when we were kids, we would either take our ponies or we'd take the bicycles and ride in the Grover Cronin parade. So, yeah, I'm a past president of the Stanley Museum up in Maine. So, I just had a show 2 or 3 weeks ago where we took them. The Marge. The other vehicle is the green one with a 2-cylinder air-cooled vehicle down there. And
anything else you want to share with us?
Oh no, it's wonderful, and we're happy to be here and happy to celebrate. You know, this is where it all began, really. You know, you're not going to get further back than 1863 in terms of automobile history. You know, and Framingham had what, the Ford plant and GM, so quite an amazing history. Yeah.
All right, so my name is Charlie McMahon. I'm originally from Natick. I worked at the Framingham General Motors plant from 1976 until it closed. Then I transferred to another General Motors plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And I'm part of the UAW, United Auto Workers retiree chapter that worked at the old Framingham plant, and we're here helping out with this car show and talking about the Framingham plant and building cars in Massachusetts. There are cars from Framingham that were built in Framingham. They're throughout the place. In fact, I think one is that GTO that's around the corner. My family is originally from New Jersey. My father transferred from the Linden, New Jersey General Motors plant to the Framingham General Motors plant when it was opening because he helped set it up. And I was the only one in the family that was born here in Massachusetts. And like I say, we lived in Natick. And my father and my brother and myself all worked at the Framingham plant. I'm sorry, what? This is the first one. This is amazing. This was it's awesome. A lot of these cars were made in Massachusetts. And evidently, Massachusetts, in the birth of the auto industry, was like the Detroit of that era, because there were lots of car factories here in this state, and so a lot of the cars that were manufactured in Massachusetts are scattered throughout the field here. I'm sorry? I do not. I actually lived up in New Hampshire. When I retired from General Motors down in Tennessee, we moved back up and I got a job working in Concord, New Hampshire.
I don't see Joe. Oh, sorry. That might be Chuck Burns.
One more word for the food trucks, which are doing a great business. It's getting busy because it gets close to lunchtime. Lines of that over there for food trucks. Everything from coffee to ice cream to barbecue.
I don't know what he looked like at that age.
That's 19 trucks will be here today. Thank you for being here as well.
I think it's a 63, Des. I remember someone saying that picture was taken in 1963.
Yeah, but it could have been taken at 63, but it was a 64.
Right, could be.
Yeah, 64 Bell. Yeah, our relatives worked in the plant.
I worked there.
I told him, Joe poured this cement floor. He finished the cement floor.
Oh, really?
And put in an application and was hired. He would have.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
I got it.
He had like 14 hours.
What made manufacturing at General Motors different and other places?
Well, what did they manufacture there? At the one in Framingham, I worked on GTOs. I worked on Pontiac Le Manses. I worked on Oldsmobile Cutlasses, Chevrolets. 94? Nope, that was beyond us. They actually closed the Framingham plant in '89. So, and then I worked in Spring Hill, Tennessee, building the Saturn car.
Walk us through briefly what a day in the life is like when you're working at General Motors.
When you're working at the plant?
Yeah.
Well, depending on the shift you work on, depends on when you start. The morning shift started at 6 a.m. Everybody was supposed to be on the line at their job, ready to go at 6 a.m. because at 6 a.m. they threw the switch and the line started moving. And they would get really upset if you weren't there to put your parts on and the car went down without them. They got a little upset about that. So everybody was on time, had to be on time. You would work and you had two 23-minute breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, paid, and then you had a half-hour unpaid lunch. So if you started at 6, your shift ended at 2:30, so that was 8 hours of pay plus a half hour of unpaid lunch.
What memories stand out to you the most about
The friendships. The friendships I had with my coworkers was beyond the best memories I have. I mean, we had so much fun working in there, laughing, because you're with the people that you worked across the line from more than you're with your family. Because 8 hours a day you're staring at the same people, and if you get along, and we used to laugh, we knew everybody's business because everybody told you, and it was just a lot of fun, a lot of good camaraderie. The union was very into solidarity and everybody getting together and helping each other out, and yeah, that's real. That was the biggest takeaway for me, the working with the people, and we all used to really like the cars, I mean, when we would build a new model, everybody wanted to see how they looked, all that kind of stuff. So But yeah, the friendships that you made were without a doubt the biggest thing.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think this car show was an awesome thing to come up with, and I'm really glad the city did it, and I think we're glad to be part of it.
This 1902 grout, 1903 grout. This was built in Orange, Mass. It's one of the only grouts left known to exist.
What year?
This one is 1903. It's a steam-powered car.
How fast could a steam-powered car go?
They go very fast in the day. The problem was being able to stop them. They could outrun just about everything on the road. So they were capable of 15, 20 miles an hour in one gear, and in the same gear they could go 60 miles an hour in 1903. The problem is they couldn't stop them.
My name is Bill Barter. I'm the curator of collections at the Seal Cove Auto Museum in Seal Cove, Maine. To give you some perspective, we're about 15 minutes from Bar Harbor. So everybody knows where Bar Harbor is. We're a museum of automobiles specializing in the earliest cars. We prefer cars that are pre-1916, cars that are built in New England and the Northeast. And so we have a number of automobiles built in Massachusetts, this being one of them. This is a 1904 Knox. Knox were built in Springfield, Massachusetts. This particular car was built for the president of the Knox Motor Company. And because of that, it's a special body, and it was actually shown at the St. Louis World's Fair in 1904. We know where this car's been ever since the day it was delivered to the owner of the company. It came to us in 1983, and as you can see a few minutes ago, it starts and runs just like it should.
My name's Eric Hartz. I am a resident of West Concord, Mass, and second generation antique car hobbyist, and so I come by these kinds of cars honestly. But the car here that you're looking at is a 1911 Knox touring car. It was built in Springfield, Massachusetts, and very well built car, runs really well, but Knox never built enough cars of any one kind to really prosper, so they fizzled out of business in the teens. The car is capable of running at 60 miles an hour, but the brakes are not capable of stopping it short of a freight train length. But real nice car. Obviously, some lot of original features of the car. And thanks to the team here for putting this show together today. It's neat to see the gathering of the Massachusetts cars. So.
How old is this car?
114, yeah. 114 years old. I'd like to do half as well when I get to be 114.
How did you acquire the car?
Well, there's a funny little story behind this. I also have a 1910 Buick, and my wife and I were on a tour with that one time, and we got passed by a 1912 era muscle car. And my wife turned to me after this thing roared by and said, "Could we get a car like that?" I said, "It's that or a house." But I learned that this car was available from a collection that was being thinned out down in Norwalk, Connecticut back in 1991. Went to have a look and a deal was made, so been a good member of the family since then.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think obviously original paint, which back in 1991 people thought that was stupid. Now they realize, don't change it. I won't.
Yeah, the oldest machine here is this pumper, where the Boston firemen would take it and they would run it down the street by hand, and they could pour water from the buckets into it and pump it up the hill and reach the second floor. And then over behind it is a 1922, I believe it is, Stanley steamer. That's the big dog. No words are necessary.
Hi, my name is Bill Key. I'm driving a 1946 Chevy pickup truck, all original. I've had it since I was 18, and it's a family type truck, and I do parades and car shows, local stuff in Framingham. Yes. Yep. Yep. I live right next door to the GM plant. Yeah, yeah.
How'd you get involved with this show? Do you know Ken?
I know Ken. I've sold him a car in the past, an MG, and nice guy. I think it's going to be a good show. This is the first one, and maybe in the future it'll take off. A lot of cars here today. Beautiful weather.
Yep.
Yeah.
How often do you take this out?
A couple of times a year. That's it. Yeah. It's only got 16,000 miles on it. Yeah.
How long have you lived in Framingham?
My whole life. Yeah. All my life. Yeah.
What other things have you done here? Like professionally?
Well, we're in the moving business, me and my brother, for years, and he's passed now, but yeah, we're all retired.
What other car shows locally do you do?
There's one in Medfield I go to, and there's one over in Holliston, Father's Day, and it's a pretty good show. That's next week, and it's a good time. I like it. Gives me something to do.
Yeah. Do you have a personal favorite car, antique?
I like them all.
Yeah?
Anything old. I'm old.
Alright, anything else you want to share with me?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Steve Robinson. I'm basically a union representative. I'm the president of the retiree chapter. And but in the plant, I was a utility. I was a committee man, but I was also a utility man. And I bounced from even one department, but from job to job. If somebody was out or they needed a break, whatever, I was a utility man. But I also worked in every department. And I'm talking, started out in the Cushing room. I went to body shop, paint shop, and chassis where they worked on the. Basically, the picture here, okay, that's a '64 Chevy, and that was a 52nd millionth car that was built with General Motors. It wasn't. We didn't build 64 million in Framingham. That was all of GM, but that happened to be the 52nd million. I'm sorry, in a '64 Chevy Impala. Some of the guys there, I didn't start until 1965. In 1965, we were building the Impala still. We were building the Chevy Impala, and we were building the Pontiac Parisienne. And that was a large, full-size car. And what we were working for at General Motors was two divisions. It was Chevrolet and Fisher Body. Fisher Body built the bodies. We had one side of the plant, one whole side of the plant. Our plant was a square mile. And one side of it was, like I say, the south side of it, as they say, was basically Fisher Body. The other side was Chevrolet division, which did the chassis, the engine, the drivetrain, all of that stuff. And as the car went through the body shop, okay, it would come up and it would go through the paint department, and then it would come down and come to a trim department. There were two trim departments, soft trim and hard trim, but it's all the interior of the car. And then it went over to chassis. But so what we built at the time, we built 52 cars an hour when that closed. And it started out when I worked there was 48, and then they increased it from 48 cars an hour to 52. I always said that anybody who has worked at General Motors could work any place in the world, because the work ethic they have is just incredible. And so what I say that is, when you're building 52 cars an hour, you have to be on that line. Even before, you have to have gloves, coveralls, this, that, whatever. You have them on, ready to go. Now, there were 2 shifts. One started at 6 o'clock in the morning, and the 8-hour shift was till 2 o'clock. So then we have the next shift, the second shift, which everybody has to start on, is 4:30 in the afternoon till 1 in the morning. Well, we always, the whole time I worked there, and I was there from 1965, January, until my last day, they closed the plant, was July 27, 1989. Well, like I say, when you're on the line, you need to be there, because they had a time study also on those line jobs, that you would be on that job every minute. You were working 54 seconds out of 60. And they had time studies, job studies on every job that was there. Each year, they would try to cut back to engineering, to making something easier to install, whatever. They didn't eliminate people, but what they did was, if somebody retired, they wouldn't. So when I started there were 5,200 people. There was maybe 3,700 when the plant went down, a little less than 4,000 actually. And but like I say, when you're doing that and you're on an assembly line, it ain't like you can walk off and say, well, I need to use the restroom or do this, that. You had a relief man. There was another person that you would call the phone and say, I need a break, or I caught myself, or I got to go down to plant clinic, the hospital. Very important, very important. And the ones that gave the breaks, we had a 23-minute break for a 4-hour period. And if they went overtime, the second half you might have more. It averaged out to try to get 6 minutes per hour but you would take it at one time. But you didn't always take it at the same time. Your relief man had 7 people to relieve. So you might be first this day, you might be third or last the next day. But it was just a great place to work. But like he mentioned, everybody's working like that, working together, and you have to work together. When you work together, you really get a great camaraderie. And and we did things. I became a union rep, and when we did things, it's always good. And the union always believed we would, if you see each other outside of the workplace, you become closer inside. So we had a lot of things going. We'd have the union, we would have, okay, we'll rent some buses and go to the Celtics game and the Bruins game or the Sox game and or the Patriots. And we do that, and we had some great times. Most of the people that are there, I mean, you're working with these people for years. I was, like I say, 26 years in this plant, and then went out to Indiana, and I went from Indiana to Lockport, New York. But the benefits of working at General Motors, you had good benefits, okay? Health care benefits. You had, paid absence allowance. You had, if you got hurt, the insurance was there and everything. It was just a great place to work. When I started there, it was like $3.05 an hour in January 1965. Doesn't sound like much money, but it was one of the top places around. And with that $3.05 an hour, I went out. I was 20 years old. I went out and bought a house. It was a Campanelli ranch house, 3-bedroom ranch, oversized garage, corner lot, for $13,500. You could buy a house. You know? In fact, rule of thumb at that time was, oh yeah, you know, what you pay for a mortgage or rent should be like, you know, maybe 1 week's pay. And that's what it was. Because with the principal, interest, and taxes on that $13,000, I get a mortgage of $12,500. It was $101 a month.
One more time, look like Heather.
This is 1924 Bay State. This happens to be my car. It's the only Bay State sedan known to exist.
I wouldn't pay.
It was built in the Bancroft building here in Framingham. And this gentleman actually had ownership of this car in 1973? 79.
Yeah.
So, and it was not quite where it is now.
Yeah.
Has it always been this color, roughly?
This is the factory color of this car. So we found the color of the paint underneath one of the wooden trim pieces on the door. We're filming right now, so be right with you in a second. Okay.
I just wanted to let you know we're here and give you a hug.
Thank you so much.
I spent the day with David yesterday. I walked in and I hear his voice.
I'm filming right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll be done in a minute.
It's really stunning. When you drive it, try to drive it only.
We haven't driven it very much. It ran for the first time in 75 years on Thursday night. So we were on a deadline to get it here. This is Charles Long, the grandson of Richard Long, who was responsible for building this car. Let's come on over. I want to show you something.
Beautiful. It is.
So, hey, come over a second. When they built them, these were assembled cars because they didn't build their own engines. They took a Continental engine, a Warner transmission, and a Columbia rear axle. Okay? And then they built their chassis and they put all of these parts together. It's got Delco electrics, so they would assemble those various components into it. But they made all the body work because before he started making these, he was making bodies for Wintons and Franklins between 18 and 22. He hired the body designer from Franklin to make a brand new body. If you looked at a 1924 Franklin, it would look exactly the same from here back. The nose would have been different because that was an air-cooled car. Okay, so what I found out that the fabric was New Zealand broadcloth wool, and he was importing the wool from New Zealand back in 1924. Okay, has a mohair headliner in it, and all of this trim, we had about half of it. It was in a pile. It was just a pile. That was the roof of the car. So this was 1979. It went out to the Midwest. I got it 8 years ago, and at that point, that's what it looked like. That's what the interior looked like, and that's what the dash looked like.
You did a lot of work.
Oh yeah. It was a long road back. So, but we're there now. So, here, take a look inside. I haven't finished the horn and a few other things, but you can see we're most of the way home now. So. It's a labor of love. Oops. Yep. You can see where the logo for the show came. So we had to have an artist make a negative of this, and then we cast it in aluminum, which is how it was done originally. So even got the roast.
Does this have a wood frame?
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of wood in here. Absolutely. So very comfy seats in the back. It's like sitting in your living room.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is a $2,500 car in 1924. You could buy a half a dozen Model Ts for what that car cost. So this was in the Packard Pierce Cadillac range in terms of cost. So I'm glad you could see it.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. So, excellent. Enjoy the day. What do you think?
Get a picture taken with it?
Yeah, I did.
And I'm Milt Coleman from Spain.
Yes. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Yeah, the pictures, you have the 4 pictures here.
Yeah. This is 1979.
British car back then.
Yep.
Ah. Okay, yeah.
There's the doors all stacked up.
Yeah.
There you are. There's the interior.
Okay, yeah.
There's the frame.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the roof.
Okay. So these are all the original insignias?
Yeah, you notice this says Worcester?
Yeah.
In 1924, they started building the building out in Worcester with the intent of expanding their production. The market fell off. They never built a car in Worcester.
Okay.
So, but you got Worcester on the hubcap and on the side of the body. So, yep.
So have you had this in other car shows?
This is the first time it's been shown. This car ran for the first time in 75 years on Thursday night.